Welcome to the Destiny Awakening Interviews, a podcast with Andrew Wayfinder and his guests, bringing you powerful insights, inspiration, and ways to break free, live life your way, and make a difference in our changing and challenging world.
So hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to another edition of the Destiny Interviews. I'm Andrew Wayfinder Renievich, and today I'm joined by Jacqui Sansom, parenting mentor, child care lawyer, and a trustee for the Institute for the Recovery of Childhood Trauma. So a very warm welcome to you, Jacqui. And where are you hanging out today?
Hi, Andrew, and thank you. Yeah, I'm in the UK, down in the Garden of England. It's called Kent. So, yeah.
Okay, well, great. So Jacqui is the founder of powerless-to-powerful-parenting.com. And if you follow her around the internet, as I have, you'll discover that Jacqui is passionate about helping parents build loving and strong families so their children go out into the world with a solid foundation. They're able to approach life with confidence and feel safe enough to talk to you about anything. But Jacqui's more than just passionate. She has years of therapeutic training in different modalities such as neurolinguistic programming, EFT, matrix reimprinting, and clinical hypnotherapy, and more than 20 years legal experience working as a family and child care lawyer. Jacqui helps parents with what she calls powerful parenting. This is where you're able to navigate that very fine line between punishment and permission, so you create a strong connection with your child that lasts for life, and that helps both of you thrive and grow in our increasingly stressful and challenging times. And I think especially now with people having to be at home with their kids, they're under a tremendous amount of pressure. So Jacqui works with parents and families in one-to-one sessions in her Powerful Parenting program. And she's creating a membership community for parents to be supported and stay connected on their parenting journey together. And judging from the detailed, glowing, and grateful testimonials, Jacqui has a lot of wisdom to share with us. So thank you, Jacqui, for your time today. And our title is How to Balance the Parenting Puzzle with Your Professional Life. And Jacqui is going to show us exactly how to do this in 6 questions. So your time starts now. So the first question, who is your ideal client and what is the transformation you help them achieve?
Okay, Andrew, no pressure then. So I work with parents who are struggling to balance the expectations imposed on them as parents with the demands of a career and that busy family life. I help them to understand how to get the best out of both worlds and what's been stopping them from achieving that balance up until now.
Okay, great. So we're at just over 35 seconds. Question number 2, what's the biggest challenge they're facing?
I think for me, it's understanding the concept of armor and judgment, because stepping outside of judgment, we will face all of those fears that we expect from the people around us when we ask for help. And that can be hard, if not excruciating, when we're really struggling, because that's when we feel most vulnerable, Andrew, and that's when we're the hardest on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that no one's harder on ourselves than we are on ourselves. We're continually thinking about what others may think, feel about us, and our alleged failures.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, that's just the way we operate as human beings.
Yeah, and I think as you're saying that the vulnerability of feeling like you're struggling as a parent and alone in that struggle, I'm guessing really, really makes things worse.
Oh, it does. And, you know, the fear of judgment is drilled into us from the moment we're born. And it's drilled into us in different ways in our environment and from the people that we live in. And they've all had the best of intentions when they're doing that. But they actually celebrate us when we're winning, and tell us to dismiss or negate what we're feeling when we're not succeeding. And that's life, which can be debilitating.
Okay. So we're just over 2 minutes. Question number 3. What's the number one insight you would share with parents to help them right now?
That everything we run from is everything that we run to, because our only point of reference in parenting are our own childhood experiences. And by default, those experiences, whether they're good or bad, are the gauge by which we judge our own behaviour, and we set our agendas as parents and people. And we all have agendas when we show up. It doesn't matter where we're showing up. And the origins of those agendas, most of the time, don't actually start with us. They start with by meeting the demands and the needs of everyone else around us. And as human beings, we're wired to fight something which leaves us feeling under threat. And this creates a battle in us, where we assert ourselves then to take control. And when we're doing that, we just don't show up very well. We show up with maladaptive behaviours that we've accrued over the years to help us survive those situations when we don't feel that we're succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
And helps us to survive those situations.
Yeah, I think where I resonate with that is I remember at times where, with horror, I hear things coming out of my mouth that I heard my parents saying as a little kid. And at the time, I can almost remember saying, I'm never going to say this to anybody.
Absolutely.
And there it is coming out of my mouth. Okay, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So the perfectionist parents will set the bar high for their child because they will want to stop their child ever feeling like a failure.
Mm-hmm.
They won't want their child to suffer the same battles that they suffered.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay.
their child is a different person.
Okay, so we're just over 4 minutes. Question number 4. What concept or book or program or talk has been the most impactful for your own learning?
I think, and it's not available as a hardback, it's only available on Audible, but it's The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown. She's absolutely phenomenal in helping people to understand how shame is the foundation of judgment and how that shapes who we are and what we become, and how shame drives our behaviours, how the fear of shame stops us showing up in a powerful way, and really how shame is very different for men, experienced very differently for men and women.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And could that explain some of maybe the tensions between parents as when they're parenting with different styles and different expectations, different reactions?
Absolutely. And it is the home and the foundation of parenting, because windows are driven to shame.
Okay, so we're at just over 5 minutes. Question number 5. What free resource would you like to share with our audience that would help parents?
Okay, so I have an exercise that's called the Name It, Tame It Emotional Mastery Guide. And it's a gift which helps us to really drill down and identify what's going on for us when we're experiencing that moment where we realise, I didn't really want to do that. I didn't want my parents jumping out of my mouth. It's for when we're experiencing stress and we're overwhelmed and we're not showing up really well, and our behavioural responses are not how we'd want people to perceive us.
Okay. And what's the URL for that?
I can pop you the bit.ly link down to add to the bottom of this when we finished.
Okay. And is it bit.ly?
It's oh gosh, I don't know. I don't have those details with me right now.
Okay, then we'll add it into the show notes.
Yeah. I can give you all the links to actually contact me and everything.
Yeah. Okay, great. And at just over 6.5 minutes, so you've got about 1.5 minutes for your last question. What should have I asked you that I didn't?
I think it's, how do we get past and manage all those agendas and make those changes in our environments and families? And I would say that's not a straightforward one fix for all, because no two people will ever have the same experiences when they're participating in the same event. Because as human beings, the most important factor in our survival is to feel safe. And when we don't feel safe, we do experience that as trauma. And trauma is not always the big things. It can be just the little thing like falling off your bike the first ever time because you've got nothing to measure it against. And in that moment, as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, you genuinely believe you're dying. So that trauma, when it hits you, gets embedded into your body, into your mind. And every time we experience that not feeling safe again, in a similar situation with similar flavors, all of those responses show up again. And it's about managing those and noticing when they're there. So the emotional mastery guide actually gets us to slow everything down, to acknowledge what's happening for us. And then we follow that back. And once you've developed that tool, it's so easy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And actually, that reminds me of one of my sort of mentors is Gabor Mate. And he says, a lot of people say, well, I wasn't traumatized. And one of the ways he gets them to question that is he asks them, do you remember as a child, any time when you were scared or upset? And who did you talk to about it? And he says, the vast majority of people say nobody.
Yeah.
And he says, well, that's evidence of trauma in the sense that you didn't have anyone safe or available to help you hold that experience.
Yeah, I've not actually read any of his work. I am aware of him. I've not actually read any of his work, but I will say it's also about, that person, again, feeding back into the earlier comment I made about them dismissing a negative feeling or trying to make it better with the best of intentions. Come on then, Johnny, get up. It's only a little graze. Let's give it a magic kiss. Let's make it all better. Rather than just sitting with that child and saying, cool, that really hurt, didn't it? How did that really hurt? Why did that really hurt? And exploring that with that child so that child understands both negative and positive emotions. And then the negative emotions don't get suppressed and we don't, then not express them, which follows on to Gabor Mate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So
in our bodies.
Perfect, Jacqui. Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you, Andrew.
Thanks for listening to the Destiny Awakening interviews. If you have a friend who would benefit, please share and subscribe to the show on iTunes and leave a review. We really appreciate it. And remember, always use your power for good.